So dogs, they ready to come out? Good boys, good boys. It's I.A.G Farms. It's all about God. Out here this morning, just taking a walk. Got my coffee with me, and I figured I'd just bring y'all along because we've accomplished some big things this week, and I'm just kind of taking a couple days to do what I call entering into the lab and just reflect on what's been done, and you know, just seek the Lord for the next steps. And I've been having this this thought, you know, for the last couple of days, that Alaska must wait. Or Alaska may have to wait. But yeah, I was just thinking about, you know, some of the things the Lord was ministering to us and some of the things that he's done already. And you know, just getting this fencing complete is a big deal. You know, I don't know if y'all understand how big of a deal it is to us and how big of a deal it is for the vision of this farm. But this fencing here, man, this was a year or two in the making, you know, because we started setting posts a long time ago. Like that was, because I remember last summer being out here, and you know, because I think that was actually the summer before last, you know, because we set the post and we waited a long time, you know, before we were able to, you know, it was really based off the provisions. Now, what is this on the pond? Oh, that's Gideon down there. I don't know what that was. But yeah, we waited a while before we were able to put down T-post and start stretching fence, you know, just basically mainly because of the provisions, you know. But the Lord finally released the provisions to us, you know, right in the right time and right in the right season. But the Lord has been giving me these visions about what he wants to do with this farm. And I know you all understand. Get in, get. The Lord has been giving me visions about what he wants to do with this farm. And I think this is important that, you know, I communicate the vision to some of you newbies. Because the older subscribers I already know. But some of the newer subscribers that just came along, you know, within the last few months, I think it's important for me to share with you, you know, what our vision is and what the Lord has spoken to us. Because the Lord spoke to us from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 28. And he said, let him who stole steal no more, but rather let him work with his hands so he can have something to give to those who have need. And that's the vision. That's the basis of why we started this farm. You know, it's not just it didn't start off as a mission to establish a home. It didn't start off as a mission to build a house down here. You know, we originally thought that we would be ministering in the city and that we would be, you know, doing the farm here and there, and that, you know, the farm would kind of be an offshoot of what we did in the city. But then about a year ago, actually about 7 months ago, the Lord called us to sell all those properties in the city and to give away the ones that we didn't sell, because we gave away the last property. We didn't sell the last property. We sold our house, and because our house was actually our ministry base. Like that was the base where we ran our ministry from, because we had a ministry that, you know, we basically were a church without walls, you know. And we had a little pavilion set up, you know. It was actually a pretty big, like a 1,200 square foot pavilion set up out in the neighborhood in our community. And we had our worship services outdoors, you know, under that pavilion. And yeah, we did a lot of ministry out in the streets, prayer walking, things like that, and discipleship, going into the areas where, you know, a lot of others, you know, weren't willing to go into. You know, we went into those dark areas to bring light. You know, what good is it to have light if you're just gonna go into other areas that already have light? And so we went into those dark areas, and you know, we began to set the captives free. And we thought that was gonna be the foundation for our ministry, You know, even when we did the farm ministry, when we started this farm, we thought that the city ministry would be the foundation for that, for everything we did down here. Because our goal is, you know, to bring down kids from the city, and our ultimate goal is what we say is, our ultimate goal is not to cultivate and develop crops and animals, but our ultimate goal is to cultivate and develop people and human beings, because we want to use this farm as a place where people can be like discipled and strengthened and encouraged. And you know, it's a blessing to have YouTube and have this I.A.G farm YouTube channel to be a, you know, one of the ways that we can do that. You know, we never knew that YouTube was gonna be one of the ways that we did that, you know. But the Lord, one day, the way that I started this YouTube channel, I was actually out at the Woodlands one day. That's our second property. For some of you all that just came along recently, because we hadn't been down there, and you know, we've been to the Woodlands one time, once or twice in the last year. And so we even since moving down, I was actually having a conversation with Arrington Farms, and we were talking about it. He was like, how much work have y'all got done at the Woodlands since y'all have been living down on the farm and not going back and forth in the city? And because he has a similar situation going on, you know, where he's at, where, you know, he had one property and another property right down the street, and they ended up moving to the property where he's at now, so where the chicken houses are at, so he can get more done. Because you just, even if the property is like right there, right across the street, you know, if you're not there, if you're not like dwelling there, living there, it's hard to get anything done. But anyway, while I was down on the Woodlands one day, you know, I was kind of doing YouTube here or there, and you know, I really wasn't doing it like seriously. You know, I was kind of putting out a video here and there. And one day I was working on the resurrection cabin, and you had to go back to some of the old videos to know what I'm talking about the resurrection cabin and the Woodlands. We got plenty of videos down there. Got trails, got 10 acres, because these two properties are separate. This property that we're on now, we're establishing the Home-Stead, it is about 5 acres. And then the Woodlands is about 10. So all together we have about 15 acres. And the Woodlands is not connected to this property. The Woodlands is about 5 to 7 minutes down the road. But anyway, while I was down at the Woodlands working, the Lord, I really didn't feel like recording that day. And the Lord whispered in my ear, just ever so softly. And he said that taking these videos is just as important as doing the work. And you know, I tend to be one that obeys the Lord. You know, I try to obey quickly. That's my saying. That's how I encourage people. I tell them, like, when the Lord speaks something, obey him quickly. Like, don't give yourself time to actually think about it, you know, because sometimes the Lord tells us to do things that aren't logical and they don't make good sense, and to us at least. And sometimes, you know, we think about it a little bit too long, and we end up being disobedient and not doing it because we think about all the ways that it doesn't make sense, you know. But my saying is, obey quickly. You know, when the Lord speaks to you, obey quickly. And so that's what I did. You know, I chose to obey the Lord, and I chose to begin to place value on taking these videos. And it's like, look at what he's done. He's done so many amazing things. But yeah, the vision of this farm, as I said, it came from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 28. Let him who stole, which is me, you know, because I'm a former thief, former felon, you know, did time in prison. It says, let him who stole, steal no more, but rather let him work with his hands so he can have something to give to those who have need. And that last part about giving to those who have need, the Lord has been ministering to me over the last, you know, few weeks, last couple of days, that there's this great mission that he's calling us to. And that's why those thoughts about Alaska, because I know I'm kind of all over the place. But for those of you all who've been watching the videos, you know that my wife and I, we joke around about going to Alaska, you know, and moving to Alaska, buying land in Alaska. And we're actually not joking. Like, we're serious. You know, we feel led that the Lord, like, I don't know, like, we feel led to pursue. Let me put it like that. We don't have any detailed, you know, words from the Lord yet, so I can't just put his name on it. It might be us, you know, he might change all that for real. But we had these plans to buy land in Alaska and, you know, be Mississippi folks that, you know, move to Alaska. And see what that life is like. You know, it might even just be a, you know, vacation property or somewhere. We go to Alaska during the summer and spring, and we, you know, because we're from Mississippi, it's like during the summer and spring, we'll probably still be burning the wood burning stove for real. But anyway, but yeah, that's where that thought came from. Alaska must wait, because I feel like the Lord is intensifying the mission that he has set for us here. And that mission is to be able to give to those who have need. And I don't know exactly how it's all gonna go, but the Lord is giving me visions, and I shared it with Arlington Farms because I feel like he's a part of it as well. And I feel like the Lord is gonna bring in other farmers and homesteaders into this mission and this movement, to where it's no longer about self-sufficiency, you know, because self-sufficiency, that word self is just an uncomfortable word for me, because it's not about self anymore. It's all about God, you know, it's all about the Lord. And so I feel like the Lord is going to rise up this group of farmers from the vision that he's given us. They are going to forsake the self-sufficiency and cleave to grace sufficiency, you know, man, because self-sufficiency is more of word about self, but grace sufficiency is more of, instead of trying to just provide for myself and my family, we want to grow this food, raise these animals, so that we can provide for those in need. Like, because just think about this. Let me put this coffee cup down on one of these poles so I can switch arms. That's a good thing about having these poles here. For real. You can set stuff on them. But just think about this. What's the purpose? What's the reason for most homesteaders to raise their own food and things like that? It's like to have an abundance, to have an overflow for our families, right? Well, what's the purpose of overflow? Is the purpose of overflow to let the abundance that you have flow into your own cups? Because, you know, in the Bible, it has this one scripture that says, my cup runneth over. So when your cup begins to run over, what should you do? Should you get another one of your cups and put it under there and let that overflow run into that to your other cup, just so you can store it up and hoard it? And I know that, you know, that prepping is a real thing, you know, storing up things for what's coming, you know what I'm saying? And they're doing right, because it's definitely coming, you know. But the Lord is really giving me this mindset that when my cup begins to overflow, not to grab my own cup and put it under there and just keep on storing it up for myself. But the Lord is giving me this mentality and this mindset of grace sufficiency, that when my cup begins to flow over, to call somebody else who has an empty cup and let them put their cup under there and let them receive from the Lord and let them receive the provisions that they need. Do y'all get that? Y'all understand it? It's the grace sufficiency concept, moving away from self. It's not just about me and my family anymore. It's about my family and I looking at what the Lord has done for us and looking at the abundance that we have and letting that flow over to somebody else. And it's not just about feeding hungry people, you know, because the Lord was giving me visions, and I shared it with Arlington Farms, that he wants us to give away over $1 million in the next 2 years. That's why I say Alaska must wait. The Lord said in the next 2 years, he wants us to give away over $1 million in pasture-raised meats. Pasture-raised pork, pasture-raised lamb, pasture-raised chicken, pasture-raised beef. Man, over $1 million in pasture-raised meats to food pantries. And that's kind of the vision that the Lord's giving me, like, right now. And I don't know exactly how it's gonna go, like, in the future as things develop. But in the beginning stages, this group of farmers, this group of homesteaders would be raising this food, and from their abundance, from their overflow, we would let it flow into the hands of others that are in need. And the way that we would do that initially from the beginning would be that we would fill our local food pantries, like ministries and churches that have food pantries. Instead of having that junk in their food pantries, we would fill those food pantries with like pasture raised meats, you know. Man. So Alaska might have to wait. Yeah. But yeah, y'all, I made a full circle. And now I'm just walking around in circles out in the middle of the field looking crazy. For real. But sharing my heart with you all. And so I'm gonna go back over here because I done walked off and left my coffee way back there because I done got too stirred up. So I'm going back here and get my coffee. And if it's still a little bit warm, I'll finish it off. And I'm gonna go ahead and get to today's farm chores and just seeing what the Lord has in store for me today. So I'm gonna probably interject this video in between because usually, you know, we record videos and you know, we put those videos out. They don't come out until a week and a half, 2 weeks later. But this video is being taken a little bit past the other videos, so I'll probably interject this video a little bit earlier just to go ahead and get it out there. But I love it. So all right, y'all, I think that's enough for today. It's I.A.G Farms. It's all about God. We'll see y'all on the next one.